Welcome to That's Pretty Neat with Rodger and Stefan, where we discuss neat, holistic, regenerative agriculture.
So we have a couple patches here that have a very different look to them. One's a lot darker and greener. One's a little bit more gray and lighter. What's the difference? And what's the difference in nutrition?
So nutrition for what?
Cattle.
For cattle. Okay, so that's a different story because the story all begins with the soil.
Correct.
So a healthy soil is full of life,
Mm-hmm.
and the soil needs oxygen, water, and then sunlight has got to be putting energy below. That goes into the fungi, etc., etc. So as we get soil healthier and healthier, and that whole ecosystem gets functioning better, then we find things become more uniform. Now, what we're seeing here is generally a blotchiness. We've got patches of dark green and then patches of not so dark green. What that's indicating to me is that the fungal mycelial network below ground is not firing on all cylinders. When we get a healthy mycelial network, what we find is that where the urine fell here, that the mycelium can then share it with all these other plants so that they go dark green as well. The other thing is we find that is where we have patches like this, it's generally an indication that we didn't have the herd at high enough densities. The urine was too spread out for the mycelium to be able to network everything and make it a solid carpet of dark green nutritious forage. So those are a couple of indicators. The other thing is I'm looking at the yellowness.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's telling me about the chemical deficiencies in the soil, which the mycelium would have fixed if they were there. So coming back to the nutrition, if a grass is a dark green, it's high in nitrogen, it's generally got everything. If it's more yellow, then it's deficient, and it won't do as well. Now, the fact that this pasture was completely overgrazed for years and years and years, and we're now just beginning the cycle of giving it a rest and recovery period. These are the first legumes that we're seeing starting to grow.
Yeah.
The first beginning. This is a good indication that we're going in the right direction. But I expect in probably 2 years' time, I expect to come back to the same field and have it be like this.
Yeah.
And just a thick carpet of stuff. Now, when we were walking on the hills, we noticed that the vetch that used to be just down
Just in the
here
valley.
is now spreading and going up there. So we're getting the biodiversity to come. Now, why is the vetch important? The vetch is important because it's a really good nitrogen fixer. So we've got the urine assisting, we've got the nitrogen fixing plants, we've got a couple of broadleafs in here. But generally, if I feel it's still very root bound, and it's very root bound and moribund in these dead patches from the years that it was overgrazed and trampled and overgrazed and overtrampled. Remember, it was a few animals here all the time, giving it a break. And so now we're beginning to make that change. Now, the only other thing that I would do is to further break these spots up is I would plan to have the herd at density here during a rainstorm.
Okay.
And I would do that to really, really break up the root structure, really let more oxygen in, and just massage the soil. But you won't be able to do it unless there's heavy rain.
Would they need excitement, or could we just put them together?
Just putting them together will help.
Okay, yeah.
But putting them together and excitement would be even better.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a tool to help fix this particular spot. But as far as nutrition, the nutrition only comes right when we get the soil right. So we've got to start with fixing the soil. And when we get the soil right, then these bunches of more nutritious grass will become predominant. Right now, they're the minority. We need to change management to make them the majority. And if you do that, you'll be pretty amazed with how neat things look.
You can follow Rodger at d2gftf.com and also on his socials at Rodger Savory Holistic Management on YouTube and Facebook. We are Las Cumbres Ranch. You can follow us on social media at Las Cumbres Ranch over all platforms. And thanks for tuning in. It's been real neat.